I've been getting a lot of questions about Samantha, so I thought I'd maybe go over some of those. First of all, where do I get the Samantha font? So I usually go to Mighty Deals because the price is pretty reasonable. And probably the biggest question we get once people come over here to Mighty Deals, this was on page 4 this time, but the page number does change. If you click on at the top, all deals at the top, and then look through the different pages, you'll find the beautiful Samantha font. So we click on the beautiful Samantha font, and you click on the Buy Now, you end up with some choices. Are you going to take the Upright Pro, the Italic Pro, the desktop fonts, or the desktop and web fonts? Well, unless you're a web developer, you don't really need web fonts. So that leaves these others. Which should we take? Well, I recommend this combination one, the complete Samantha Script family desktop fonts, the $37 one, because you get in that set, you get not only the italic and the upright, but you also get their bold versions. You get 4 fonts instead of 2. Now, the reason for that is that if you buy just this one, you get this one, and there's no way to get the bold. When I bought this, I made the mistake of buying this and this, thinking, oh, well, $34, that's cheaper than $37, so I'll just get these 2. But then I realized when I cut, I like to use bold if possible. But when you click on bold, you get nothing from the software that's any different from the regular, or you get something you don't want. So I realized I need the bold fonts, and that's why I order the complete script. And so I'm going to show you a little bit of the difference here and Make the Cut. And I will make my screen a little bigger here, but I wanted first for you to see it all. I just typed out this saying that I saw somewhere, and I used the Samantha and put in the little swirls that I wanted, and I can show that if you need me to. But for right now, I wanted to show you, this is what I typed with the italics when I brought it in to Make the Cut, and it looks fine. It might cut just fine, but as I said, I like to maybe use a little bolder, a little thicker. So what I did is I took this and I just thickened the Samantha portion of it, the top part and the bottom, at a 0.01 thickness. Now if I would have made it larger to begin with, it might not have been so thick, but this is a little bit too thick. When you use the, let's see if I select this and I go down here to the shadow layer, if I thicken it with too thick of a shadow, I'll end up obscuring some of these tiny little pieces. So the, and this was still a little too thick for my liking. With this version, I did this using the Illustrator just to do something quick and different, and brought it in using the bold font. And then this one I did right here and Make the Cut using the bold font. So when I go to Text and Fonts here, I have Samantha Italic Pro, and I have bold selected here. After I'm done, I want to make sure I turn off bold so that my next font isn't distorted, because sometimes clicking that bold, if you didn't have a bold font installed, is going to provide some distortion. So if you look at these, now this part here was called Captain Howdy, and I removed some inside design lines, but I'm mostly looking at the Samantha here. I did bold the Samantha, whereas I didn't bold it over here. So maybe you can see why I would like to use the bold version rather than the regular version. So the way that I do this, and I've tried it in several different programs, it might be a little easier in Illustrator, but not all that much. What I like to do first is click on my text button, type in my text, and in this case I'm going to split by lines. I normally split by glyphs, but Samantha spacing is pretty good across the words. But when it comes in when it comes in, you'll see why I want to use split by line. So I'm going to accept this, and it comes in over here, and you see how much space there is in between there. That's probably because of all the extra special characters. So I don't want all that space in there. By splitting it by line, each of these lines is its own group. So I'm going to select all of the text and hold down the Control key, and then what I'm doing now is dragging up with the Control key held down, and you can see that the letters are not being distorted, but the spacing between them is changed as I drag. And once I get the spacing that I like, then I can release the mouse, and it's all one unit, and the spacing is nice. Now, some software doesn't have that nice spacing, so it's a little bit more difficult. Another thing that I didn't like about, well, then you can go through and you can change some of the characters. Now, in Illustrator, you can go through, if you open their Opentype window, and that's the other thing, when you come over here to Mighty Deals, when you download this font, you get both the TrueType font and you get the Opentype font. If you get the Opentype font, it doesn't really matter in Make the Cut, but it does matter in Illustrator because the Opentype font gives you the option to change some of these characters automatically. First you select it, and then each time I click it, it changes the look automatically. And sometimes this is a huge help. This is the way it came in when I typed it. This is adding some special characters, and this is adding the swashes, and just doing some little different things. This combines some of the letters. So, you know, I can quickly sometimes just have Illustrator automatically change some of these to see what I like and what I don't like. And then if I don't like something, and not everybody has Illustrator, but if you have it, this is a pretty straightforward way to edit. But let's just say I'm going to click next to the eye, and I don't like that way the eye looks. I still have to do the same thing we do in Make the Cut and go through and find the capital I's and find an eye that I would like. And the print here is so small it's hard to see, and I don't find it very comfortable at all digging through all of this. Let's say I like this eye. Well, I don't like that eye. So I delete it and I do another one. It would be the same in that one. That one's better. So then I can just delete the other one, and now I've got the eye that I want. If I want to take all of this, once I decide that I like it this way, I would probably go through and fix all the eyes and fix all the letters that I want. But to get it from Illustrator and to Make the Cut, I would right-click and create outlines, and then do a Control-C to copy, to go to Make the Cut, find another place on my page and double-click, and then do a Control-Shift-V, and my design comes in here. You notice that it's got some interesting coloring here. I think because I made outlines and I also had a fill, so I've really got it all double. So to get rid of the double, I just do a fuse and weld, I think. Yeah. Once I do the fuse and weld, I get that, but the problem with the fuse and weld is the overlaid letters have little white spaces, so I don't want to do fuse and weld yet. I'm going to undo it, and for some reason it we'll do a split, and then once I do the split, I think I can do it all, the fuse and weld, just like Brian did earlier with that other thing. Joining causes the problem of the overlapping letters, but I could weld and then do a fuse and weld and apply, and then they're all those little white spaces are gone. So I do a weld and now fuse and weld, apply. So that's just how I would use it, let's say, with Illustrator. But I don't really need to go into Illustrator to do this because we have all the characters right here and make the cut. So let me find another empty space here. I'll just delete that. So again, I've selected my font. This is the italic version. I could do, just for sake of example, I could do the upright and add the same text and accept. And you see again we've got the letters going up and down instead of, and I think I'll zoom out a little so we can see it. We'll select it all, hold the Control and move it closer, and I'll make it a little bigger. So if I say this I like better than the one, this other I that came in the italic. In fact, I probably like the way this looks pretty much. And when you're adding flourishes, you don't want to add too much. But let's say I wanted to add some more of the characters from this. Make sure that you click all glyphs right here. You're not going to see all the characters and make the cut. Other software, Shortcuts a Lot, also has all the glyphs, but it doesn't have all the empty spaces. These are all empty spaces here. But other software like Cricut Design Studio and the Puzzles InView do not have these special characters. You can't access them. So then you would have to use a whole nother software package. So if you didn't have Illustrator, you might have to use a Nexus font or the character map, which is so tiny on your computer, to be able to see these other characters which are way down at the bottoms. And these are in alphabetical order, so maybe I would like to add a flourish at the end of the L's. I'll just do one for you. So it takes a little bit of time to go through and look for the specific things that you want. But when there's a look that you have in mind, it really helps to have a lot of different options here. So I want an L that maybe will swoop under the ends of my letters. So let's see if I can find that. This is one. I'll double click this, and you see that I've got an L here now that will go under my word. So I like to send this to its own layer and hide it. Then I'm going to delete this L, but I can't delete it while it's connected. That's why I would make sure before I weld that I separate them all. But I can split them, and then I can click on the L to get rid of it. Now I can show this L, select it all, and weld. And now I have a nice little loop-de-loop here. And basically that's what I do. And then at the end of all the alphabet characters, some of these have combination letters that will work when you have two that need to be closer together than usual. But at the bottom of this, you will, after the lowercase letters, you'll come to some of the other special swirls and swashes and nice design elements that you could add for dividers between words or special characters. So you just go down almost to the bottom here, but see there's a little space here, and then you start seeing more of the special characters that you might like to use. There's a set of words, and then there's a set of ornaments. And you could go through these by holding the arrow down, or you can go faster by clicking on the space. Now here's some of the words. And then after the words we have some different ornaments. And again, to select an ornament, you just double click and it will appear on your screen, and then you can kind of decorate as you like. So this was, let's look at which font did I use. I used, for this one, I used the regular upright. So let's see what it would look like if I clicked the bold and then added the same text. And again, what I want to do is hold a control key, drag up, and then just, oops, then make it bigger this way. So you see that these characters are a little fatter, so if I'm cutting them from paper especially, I don't want it tearing and give me a lot of problem. I will use this instead of this. And it still has its nice dainty feel, although I do need to split all of these because you see the little white sections overlapping. I'm going to split them. Once they're split, then I'm going to weld. So now in here I see some of these letters are not quite overlapping enough. I'm going to Control-Z undo, and now I'm going to just move these a little closer together, holding the Control key and moving some of the letters overlapping a little bit more, and then I'll weld them again. And you always have the option of editing the spacing between letters. I'm going to look at this closer here because I think I don't have the bold of the upright installed, and I want to show you why that's a problem. See, we don't want these white lines in here, so that you do by now remember I told you we don't want to use bold if we didn't buy the font. Well, I purposely did not install the bold of the upright font, and you can see what has happened in here. We have all these loop-de-loops. I'm going to go in even closer so you can see this problem. If you don't get the bold font and you use the bold setting, you get a real problem here. I'll put it on outline. And these will not cut well with all these tiny little holes in them. Your blade will just go crazy and things will start tearing. The cause of all of these little loops is trying to use bold when you don't have the bold installed. So I come over here and I take the bold off. I won't have those loops. Now I do have the bold of the upright installed. So, I mean of the italic. So if I go over here and select, I can see if I don't show the face, I can actually see the name here, upright, and here's the italic. So just for demonstration purposes, I want to show you what will happen with this same image. Double click here and accept that. Click, hold the control key, move it all up, and move it down. Oops, I'm holding the control key. Just make it bigger. Okay, so I have this, and then I want to select these. And move them down here so we can compare. Then I click on the bold this time, add the same text, and accept it. I'll do the same thing, hold the control key to drag up and make the whole thing bigger. And I won't have those little loops in the bold version like I had over here. And I'll put them kind of together here. So we'll zoom in a little bit. And I think this is a really important thing for people to understand about how Make the Cut uses bold and not. So we have, again, I'm going to split these before I weld, and I'll weld now. And they're nice and smooth, and these are, oh, this is the bold. I'm going to split. And this is the one that was using the bold without the font installed. Even though I weld it, we still have all the holes in it. So if you like to use bold, don't plan on clicking on this if you have not installed the bold version, because you're going to get a bunch of problems here. Do we have any questions? That's mainly what I wanted to show everybody.
Yeah, there's no questions. There was a comment. Teresa had mentioned the Nexus font program that has the character map, but that has it. You can see them larger, if that makes sense.
Well, I do have the Nexus font viewer installed here, and when I go to, in order to use that, we go to, and I always have to remember how to see them, view, and we want to see the character map right here, under Tools, Windows Character Map, and we want to pick the fonts, so we're going to go down to the S's, and Samantha Upright Pro Italic Pro. Okay, those don't look too big to me. Now, is there a way to view them? It's not very big. So maybe there's a bigger a way to do it, but I don't see it. This won't get bigger for me. It's just using the Windows character map.
Yeah, she said not under font character map.
So
I don't have that. She didn't mention how to get to it.
Yeah, the Nexus, this Nexus font viewer is, this is the Upright Pro. What you do to use this, if you have a magnifying glass, you can see them all. But what you do is you find the special characters that you want to use. So we're going to go down to the bottom. Oh, you can tell it that you want to see which part of it. If you want a sub-range that you want, if you want just the private use, but I want to see them all. Now I can go to the private use area, which is down here near the bottom, and you see all the characters. I still cannot see enough detail on these flourishes to know if I want to use them. But let's just say I want to use one of these words in here. If you double click on it, it comes right here in, and you can just double click on every little character that you think you might want. And then you can copy them. And then you can go into Make the Cut, and I do believe that you have to go into this window here and Control V and accept, and those little characters that were there at the bottom should show up here. So on the right, they should show up on the bottom. You see the little characters that I selected. Now you can do this with any program. That if you go into Nexus and you copy the characters there, then you can go ahead and paste them right into the text box, and when you apply, they'll come in to Make the Cut, just like they were. It's
Teresa said under the Nexus, in the Nexus program, it's under the font option at the top, not under the character map windows.
Under the font, and here's the character map. Yeah, here it is, so you can see it bigger.
Thank you, Teresa.
I thought I'd seen it bigger somewhere, but I couldn't remember. So you have to have the font selected, and then you can see the area. You can see down here the general punctuation, spacing modifiers, Latin extended. This is subrange of the different characters. And again, the private use area is usually at the bottom, but you know, and I really don't see all of the characters in here. And I know Kay has a nice, she went over some of this in the Samantha font. And there are tutorials where you can get the details on how to use Nexus. I just don't use it that much because Make the Cut is just as easy. I tried it in Surecuts a lot today, and it was obnoxious to me using it in there. I thought it would be better, but because it got rid of all of the spacing. But this is only showing 86 characters in the oversized view, so maybe I just need to keep going further down the page than where I'm going. But see, I'm at the bottom here. I don't see the special
Beans, you're on the
Bean that's sprout. Because this is not, that's Bean Sprout. And yeah, and I need to get the right font. That would really help. So I got to go to the font. I should let somebody else do this because I don't know this program. If I'm on character map, I need to select the font first.
Yeah, so
and I don't know how to do that.
It's right now the Bean Sprout is selected. So if you scroll down of your fonts,
it would be nice to be able to type a letter and get there, like we do in Make the Cut.
You want to go down to Samantha.
Yeah, I'm looking at something else. RS. I think I'm tired. Okay, Samantha Upright Pro. I'm going to click that, and then I'm going to go to character map. Now I should be able to click over here to see the private use area to find all the special characters, and they are bigger here. You see them a little bit better. So scrolling down through there is not too bad, and I probably would, if I couldn't do what I wanted to do and Make the Cut, this might be where I would go. Since this is free, you don't have to buy any other, but it is bigger, and I have so much trouble seeing all those tiny little characters.